Oh my God, we're live! Yay! Friday Night Feels from space! Jennifer, can you hear me?
You did not prepare me for that.
Hello, everyone! Friday Night Feels. I am licensed mental health counselor Patrick Monette, and I'm extremely excited to be here tonight with a good friend of mine, Jennifer Meschinelli. Jennifer, welcome to Friday Night Feels.
Hi, Patrick. You did not prep me for that intro.
I got to keep you on your toes. You know, it's like the end of the week. I'm from space. I don't know if you knew that. I'm like, in the sky.
Yeah, I noticed that you seem to have jetted off to the moon since we last spoke. So
I figured out last time I used a background, I became, I was engulfed.
You were literally in the weeds. So yeah, it's pretty funny. I was like, do I need to send my 4-year-old over to show you how to work that? See, you can, I think maybe I should sell my background to, Zoom because it's beautiful.
It's very professional.
Michael, we've got a cat.
Hey,
sorry,
yeah. So Friday Night Feels. So for those of you who may have never watched, this is a show that I created. I started in March when the pandemic really took over, and the focus was to be able to connect to different people, focusing on community, on wellness. And with every show, I feel so honored with the different people that join and the people that chat and send in questions, because there's so many different components and different aspects and avenues of wellness. And I love connecting with people within our community and, in different places. We've had Ireland and Chile and different places throughout the States. And every time it just feels like a great honor to be able to spend time with new friends and colleagues. And it's also a chance, just to connect with people who are in, just needing something fun and light to do on a Friday night and to see what's going on within our community and in other areas. So once again, I'm so excited for Friday Night Feels to be here. And one of the reasons, that I asked Jen to come and join us is because she is a local publisher of a company called Macaroni Kids National. Is that correct?
Yeah, just okay. Macaroni Kid. Yeah,
Kids.
I'm a publisher mom.
Publisher mom. I love it. So, and Jen's going to come in and give us the 411 because Jen and I have known each other for a while, and this was something I believe you had heard about, and I didn't know it was existed in it. I fell in love with the concept and the beliefs behind it, and really, it ties in perfectly with what I want to do with Friday Night Feels and with the community. So, how did you find, can you tell me a little bit about Friday Night Feels? Or I'm sorry. Oh, I'm so spacey. I'm spacey, get it? In a couple minutes.
You are out there, man.
Jen's going to be like, I'm sorry, I'm going through a tunnel and it's just going to go black and I'll never hear from her again. So that may not be the last lame dad joke. So here we go. So Jen, can you tell me a little bit more about Macaroni Kid?
Yeah, sure. So it was about 3 years ago. A friend of mine from way back, like one of my first jobs out of college, she had posted it on Facebook. I had recently found her again, and so I signed up for her newsletter. She was in the Tri-Lakes, and I was kind of intrigued by it. My background is almost 20 years with newspapers and community newspapers. So, I've got that vibe for how to find events. I literally was the calendar editor for 10 of those 20 years at the different papers, and making connections locally. I worked for the Plattsburgh newspaper for 8 years, I think it was 8 or 9 years. And then another community newspaper, and I started out in the Tri-Lakes. So I kind of have a good vibe for what's going on in the community and who's who. So once I became a mom, that came in really handy because I knew where to look for events and what's going on for my kids. But I noticed that I was spending a lot of time doing that because it's really, really hard to, kind of multitask and find, what are we going to do this weekend, and plan it all out and search for it. Because a lot of these things are hidden pretty deep. And so I kind of was intrigued by this. I was checking it out and I saw, there's a link on it, like, become a publisher. And I clicked on it and I reached out to my friend, and next thing I knew, I was signed up for our area. Somebody actually had the site previously many years ago, and so I was able to just take over the site instead of start over. I mean, they had to pull it out of their archives, but and Macaroni Kid National, they basically set you up with everything, with the platform, and you are basically in control of the content in your area, and you can share articles, etc. So basically getting hooked in with that was first, it kind of, I work full time. There are a lot of women out of the quite a few hundred Macaroni Kid moms there are. Quite a few hundred do this full time.
Wow.
Bigger areas. But this is their full-time job. And so here, I feel like our area doesn't, at this time, I can't see it being a full-time job, but it's something that has potential for that. Sorry, got a cat here.
Sorry, I got a dog here in space, so we're in good company.
You need to make her floating by, and
yes, she probably
Sally
would love that.
Yeah. So it's been a fun journey. It's been a fun journey.
Well, what's interesting is one of the things in the counseling field, and I don't know if I ever shared this with you, is that's always been something I used to look at when I would get the paper. I would always look for, because, I would have clients or, even students when I was teaching, looking for different events in the community, because like you said, even though there's sometimes it seems like there's a lot going on, you have to know where to look for it. It's kind of like the diamond in the rough. And, I remember I would look for something, in the paper would said this coming weekend, but a lot of times I wouldn't see it until Friday or Saturday. And I would kind of miss it. And then when, you're looking on social media and the internet and, different things like that, it can kind of get overwhelming because there's so many places to look.
Yeah. And that's why I feel that I provide a service to moms, because again, we are all exhausted and busy. So I feel like if I'm, this is natural to me, I know the places to look, etc. And I feel like this is a service I provide, is that putting it all in one place. There's a couple different ways you can use Macaroni Kid. When you go to our website, which I have failed to mention, is www.plattsburgh.macaronikid.com. When you go to the site, there's a box that comes up and asks you to enter your email for a subscription. So I basically do a weekly newsletter. It comes out on 8:30 on Friday mornings, if I've got it all together that week. Some weeks, we need some grace, but it sends out an email every week, basically telling you the upcoming events. It's got articles that I've chosen that I think would be of interest to area parents. There's usually a good combination of, like, sometimes I'll have a couple local articles, sometimes it'll be some that are shared from the national website. I try and mix it up a little bit. So if I know of an upcoming event, I'll usually post more local things. On slower weeks, maybe I'll have a little bit more of the shared content. So I mix it up. And then the calendar is completely local, 100% local. Sometimes I go on the outer fringes, like Malone or something like that, but it's all 100% local. Although one of the things they have been doing during the pandemic is putting a few more virtual things. So there are some virtual things they've added on in the last few months that I think are pretty neat, and I post those. But it's their main thing is local, and that they expect their publishers to become a resource in their communities and be the go-to person for that.
Okay. So if I was interested, like you said, the website, it's free, right?
Yes. The website's free for users. And so basically you can go online anytime. So what I do is with the event calendar, sorry, cat. With the event calendar, I post in the newsletter probably like a week out, But you can always access the event calendar at any time by just going straight to the website, and it's as far out as I have things posted.
And that's one of the things that blew me away when you were telling me about it, because sometimes people, especially with everything going on with COVID, finances are tight, people are stressed. You've got so much going on, that another obligation, another financial. And then when you were telling me that this is free, I thought this is amazing for our community, because
Yeah.
it really is building that bridge of busy people, but who want to do healthy things for themselves, their kids, their families. And now you are working on creating kind of the connection point where we can go and check it all out.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that we've all found out during this COVID is that family time is really, really important.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things I think we've learned from COVID that I hope doesn't go away, that we keep that. As lovely as family can be sometime, this is the moments with our kids that, one of my things, one of my other good friends and I always say is that we only have a certain number of years with our kids,
Mm-hmm.
and they're only really little for a certain amount of time. So it's really important to spend that time with them. Especially, I mean, my kids are addicted to electronics just as much as everybody else is. And I think it's nice to kind of just plan an activity where we can put away the electronics and just be a family for a little while. That's one of the things that is important to me. So yes, I do drag them to events.
But one day, I firmly believe they'll love it. I was actually just talking to friends of mine who aren't from here, about Rolf's, and saying, like, when I was growing up, that's where we would go, like schools and families, and and I always remember, because like we would go, and you would be, in in an older building, and they still have them. They're candy sticks.
Oh yeah.
And I just remember every year, like, we would go for Halloween, because that's where you get your pumpkin at that time. And I just remember it was always like, oh, what candy stick are you going to get? I'm going to get this one. And it was just one of those things of, being able to just connect in different ways, and have those memories as an adult. It means a lot to me.
Memories are the most important thing for kids, like family memories. I remember I asked my kids one time what were their best memories from their childhood, and for them it's the vacation and the time we spend together. So that kind of touched me. Like, I mean, I'm not going to say that Monday when I dragged them out on a hike, on our day off, that there wasn't complaining and whining and I don't want to goes, but at the end of the day, everybody was pretty, had a good time and really enjoyed themselves. So I like to torture my kids, so it's good for them. It builds character.
It's for the children. That's my favorite line. It's for the children.
Exactly. So, and to circle back around, yes, the website is free for users and subscribers. I do know, just as I only send you out one email a week with the newsletter in it. But I do know that once in a while, Macaroni Kid National will send out, some, a client email, etc. But I don't feel that it's overwhelming. Like, I subscribe to it just so I can see what's coming out, and it's not overwhelming. It's just once a week. If you know that it's coming out at 8:30, you could take a look at it, or when you get home that night from work, you can check it out, see what's going on that weekend. You can access the website at any time to look out on the events calendar. Right now, that's still a little thin. There's really usually, I mean, this time of year from October to December, the events calendar is packed full. This year I'm seeing a lot. It's pretty thin, but all the more important than to have a resource where you can go to find out what's going on.
Well, and I think people they're still in adapting of, like, how do we do this event, but so everyone's safe and healthy, and we can, continue taking care of ourselves and our family and our community. Oh,
And
now,
now more than ever, actually, if I can point out, now more than ever too, is important to look at the details in the calendar event, entries, because I'm making sure that I'm putting in all the information I can about what the host is listed as, COVID, et cetera, wearing masks, et cetera.
right.
A lot of places are requiring reservations now.
Okay.
So that they can make sure that there's a limited number of people. They're spreading things out. I know my daughter did a flashlight corn maze a couple weekends ago, and they were only taking in groups of 10 at a time, and they were kind of socially distancing people. So those types of things. So it's really important to, in the calendar entries, to read everything in there, because I'm putting any restrictions that they might be posting in there as well.
That's really helpful. I love that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we all have young kids, and we all know what it's like to have to, plan everything ahead of time. And if nobody wants to pack their kids up in the car and go through all the drama and get there and find out they're only taking reservations.
Right. I mean, who needs to go through that? Now, is it only, what about people who, like single people or with older kids, or who just want to go by themselves? Is Macaroni Kid still a good resource?
Oh yeah, you can access the website anytime. Anyone can access the website. It's www.plattsburgh.macaronikid.com. And you can access it at any time to check calendar events, things like that. I know some people, grandparents are subscribers. They know they're going to spend the weekend with their grandkids, so they'll subscribe to it so they can see what's going on in the area. Aunts, uncles, anybody. Even, again, like you said, single people that are just looking for things to do in the area. I am working too diligently on trying to get older kid things. Sorry, my cat is really wanting to knock over this soda.
You're a mom. You're multitasking. Oh, hey, buddy. Cutie patootie.
Yeah, I probably should throw her out of this room, but so it is so hard to find things for older kids too. And so I do try and research as much as I can to find things for older kids. I know usually around Halloween, there's haunted house things. So if there's anything, if there's any age restrictions that are posted with the host, I usually make sure those go on so that we can make sure that, people know ahead of time.
And it was actually kind of fun, because when you told me that you were starting, Macaroni Kid, it was kind of like a scavenger hunt, because I started to look for events to send to you of just like, oh, hey, here it is. Because it just I felt like I was doing it for you, but also for other people who, what do they do? Like, you go through, I don't know about anyone else, but Monday through Friday is just kind of like a blur half the time. Like, I can't believe it's already Friday, and you're a little comatose and disoriented. So the idea of, what are we doing this weekend? What are we going to do that's healthy? How are we going to have that family time? And
that's exactly how I got into this, is because I realized how much time I was putting into it. And it's like, oh my gosh, I'm experienced at this. I did this for a job for many years. Like, what about the people that don't?
Yes.
How do they find out about events? So it's something I enjoy doing, because as much as I've been out of newspapers for quite a few years now, I still miss it. So this gives me a little bit of an opportunity to still do some community writing on events, to also, kind of look around, see what's going on, things like that. I'm very nosy because of my newspaper background. So
nosy, informed, committed. I mean, it's tomato.
Yeah.
It's we talked about that positive reinforcement. Well, so if someone was interested, or they had an event, like, for example, when this year we're not going to do it because of COVID, but when I have done the wellness fair, that's something I could send you, correct? And it would.
There's two things you can do.
Okay.
You can either send me an email, because I also take press releases and photos, because I can post that as an article. So I can take, if people have press release, like mailing lists, usually bigger organizations have mailing lists. So you can add me as jennm, Jenn with 2 N's, and M for Meschinelli, at macaronikid.com. And so I purposely did not put the Meschinelli in my email. So if you send an email to jennm at macaronikid.com, and just, if you can include a photo, that's always best. I can post that as an article on the site. Or there's also, if you go into events, there's an area where you can put your own event listing for the calendar, and it'll get, when you submit it, it doesn't post automatically. What it does is it emails me that someone has submitted a calendar event, and I look it over to make sure that it's family friendly and that, it's something that's appropriate for my site. And then
not like Zoom bombers.
Yeah, exactly. We can't have anything crazy. So, and then, or sometimes like I'll contact, because it requires you to put in contact info, or I could contact you and say, hey, could I have more information, or I have some questions. And so once it's all set, I hit submit, and then it will automatically post to my calendar.
So it sounds like it's really user friendly from what you're telling me.
It is incredibly user friendly. I mean, I
Wow.
have to tell you that as someone that's done this for 20 years, I found the site and the platform that I basically subscribe to really super user friendly. So I really feel like, the moms that want to get into this in other areas that, aren't computer friendly or computer savvy, maybe should be able to do that easily.
Okay. And just so you know, we are getting requests for more cat, not less.
Oh, she's a kitten too. Yeah.
Oh, I have seen her. She is Ginny Weasley is her name, correct?
Her name is Ginger, quote unquote. Ginny Weasley is her nickname. And that comes from a friend who has Harry Potter names on all their pets. So when we joined the fray, we had to have a Harry Potter name.
Love
So
it.
this is
Oh,
Ginger.
so
She's
adorable.
she's about 2.5 months old. Best personality for a cat, because I have and I should have probably mentioned this when I started, is I have 3 crazy children myself. I have an 11-year-old tween, and a 9-year-old fourth grader, and a 5-year-old that just started kindergarten.
Wow.
They are quite a handful. So one of my favorite things too is when I find articles that on that other publisher moms have written that are relevant. I'm always like, oh yeah, this is definitely something I would be interested in as a mom.
Well, can we kind of like deviate a bit for a minute from Macaroni Kids? Like, you gonna go? Because it's Friday Night Feels. It's filter free.
Oh dear.
You
Oh
and I
no.
have you and I have a lot of conversations about the stress of parenting, and one of the terms or issues that comes up so often is mom guilt.
Oh yes. As you
And
know, I am a worshiper in that religion.
yeah, and I'm not a mom and I'm not a parent, so that component. But
You're a
I
dog
see,
parent.
I'm a dog, right? But I can put her in a kennel when it's stressful.
Well, you've met my son, so that is something I have
I
considered.
have to say, like, true story. So Jen, when I first went over and met her son, he just stared. He just stared at me like, "Who is this?" Like, not scared, but like interrogation, like totally.
Yeah,
But then
like
the
dead
next,
eye stare, like
and
who
then he
are
just like went away. And then the next time, all of a sudden he starts making these noises, and I'm like, I don't know what that means. And you turn to me and she goes, "That's a Tyrannosaurus. That means he's saying hello to you in dinosaur." I'm like, I'm in.
yeah.
And
And
then
now it's trains, constantly trains,
now
20.
it's trains, and then he comes up now. He has good communication. He doesn't just rush in. He's no
Yeah.
fool.
And
So
you are Patwick.
yes,
Patwick.
yes,
Patwick.
I feel special because he always comes up and gives me big hug, which is always nice.
Yeah.
Um, this mom guilt, it upsets me. I don't like it. Can we talk about it?
Sure. Sure.
Uh,
Can we talk?
can we talk? It's a little coffee talk in space in Plattsburgh, okay? Just one day, Jennifer.
Mhm.
Jennifer. So let's talk. So how do you experience it? Like, is it a real thing? You know, do you see it a lot in your friends and colleagues and family? Like, what is it about?
Oh, well, you know, I've changed my view on that in the past few years. I used to always beat myself up. I was never good enough as a parent, and what could I be doing better? And then I started, I work in an industry with children, and I get to see a lot more other backgrounds and other things. And I realized that, kids require just a few small things. They require food, shelter, and love. And there are so many kids in our community, especially, that are not getting all 3 of those needs met. Either 1 or 2 are missing. So I feel that, I've started in the past few years to tell my friends, stop it. you are giving your kids all the basic necessities of life. They don't need more. They need parents that are present.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I see hundreds of different children every year and backgrounds. And, you know, I just actually got into a Facebook discussion with someone recently, and they were talking about, schools failing children and everything. I said, I think you need to stop and think about this, because the kids that have parents that support them do incredible in school. Because of course, how many of us right now are feeling the mom guilt about, we have to send our kids to school
Right.
because we
Do
work.
we or don't we?
Exactly. Do we or don't we? And the parents I've talked to, I've said, you know what, you need to do what feels right for you. But I'm going to tell you, no matter which thing you decide, you are going to second guess yourself every single day.
Yeah.
I do. Should I quit my job and stay home and remote parenting or homeschool? Like, we're all going through this right now. And I think that as long as we're doing something in the best interest of our kids, I think we need to stop feeling guilty about it. We're doing okay. If you're asking yourself these questions, if you are feeling mom guilt, you are already doing enough for your kids.
Because you care.
Exactly. And when you start to see how many kids, even in our community right here, that have parents that are not providing care, basic level care, you realize that you're doing awesome. You're doing awesome.
And in the mental health field, when I see that as adults or teenagers or kids, when there is that neglect or that trauma, that abuse, it's a whole other ball game. It's a whole other conversation.
This is not I didn't get, more cat. This is not the I didn't get that hoverboard for Christmas neglect.
Right.
This is real like basic need neglect.
And it's interesting because with a lot of when I'm talking to, whether it's at work or personally or friends or family, the pain just emanates from and I'm going to get to dads in a minute, but we're talking about moms for a minute, of looking at that, of saying, I think what it is like, I'm so afraid of effing up my kid.
Oh yeah.
And it's interesting because, like, when I, as an observer, like if I go over to your house or someone else's house, I see things that the parents don't see, because you're like in the tree, like you were in trenches, like throwing things, like dinner, food, dog, cat, homework, fire, all of this. And it's this privilege or this honor when I go over to a friend's house with kids, because I see how the kids look at their parents, and I can see when there's a connection, and I can see when they're feeling safe and loved, and I can see it when there might be some blockages in that connection, let's say, but there is such a harshness, what I see with moms, of I'm like, everything is on my fault, everything is on my shoulders, I have to do this, all of this pressure. And not only internally, but a lot of times, especially with social media, that external judgment.
Exactly.
And shaming and all this other nonsense.
You know what? I mean, one of my favorite commercials would be the one, or I don't know if it was a picture ad or a commercial, but you've got the parents talking about, they're preparing a meal and, they're making organic, blah, 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 this and that and all this. And the kid is eating goldfish off the floor. Like, I've had
happy as can be, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've had those moments too, where we all try to do the best for our kids. I make mine eat vegetables and stuff like that. But I still feel that just the fact that we care enough, and that we're questioning ourselves and doing the best that we can. And I think the thing that hurts me the most is the other mom shaming. Like, it's just not okay.
Yeah.
Not all moms can breastfeed. I was not able to. My kids are fine. They are never sick. They're healthy. One of them has like a superpower immunity, and she's the kid that you don't want to ever touch anything her hands have touched. And like, there's something to be said for that and building immunity. But it's whether you homeschool, whether you vaccinate, whether you don't vaccinate, these are all personal choices, and they all make you a good parent, because all of us are doing what we feel is best for our kids,
Yeah.
you
And
know?
one of the things that I can say in the last few years, which I am so thankful for, is like when I was growing up, if you had some issues, you could go see the school counselor. But I'm seeing more and more parents, thankfully, who are reaching out when
Yeah.
their kids are struggling. Because first of
Yeah.
all, in general, with mental health issues, addiction, with depression, anxiety, and everything, especially with COVID. And I mean, this has been, and I always say this to people, we have to remember this is unknown territory. It's affecting all of us in different ways, no matter what you think about or what, like, it's still happening.
Right.
It's
Right.
still stressful. It's still frustrating. It's still scary on some levels. It's not normal. It's not what we're used to. And so what I'm seeing is, when parents are so hard on themselves, but I mean, they're reaching out, for counseling, they're going to whether it's churches or doctors, or saying, what can we do? Because we're worried. To me, that show you're there. Like you're saying, it's not about the future, it's in the moment. You are there. And that, when I'm working with parents who are really anxious about that, I try to remind them it's not the big things. It's sitting down for that family dinner, even if they're having a shitty day. It's
The
sitting
breakfast
down
for
of
dinner.
breakfast or dinner. Yes,
I
favorite
tell you,
memories.
my biggest lazy meal is breakfast for dinner. Let's throw a few and the kids act like it's, like a
Yes,
gourmet meal. And I'm like, okay, this is great, because I was not feeling it today.
I
And
remember. Sorry, go ahead.
my special trick is that actually, if you look at the nutritional labels, whipped cream has less sugar in it than syrup. So what I do is I put whipped cream on the pancakes, and I put a few shakes of sprinkles, and the kids act like they've died. A glorious death. And I'm like, shit, that was the easiest meal ever. Like,
I remember when I was younger and that would happen, and I wouldn't say anything because I didn't want to jinx it. Oh, and it was like scribble eggs, but I don't know what.
guys, mom has lost her mind. She put whipped cream on our pancakes.
Don't question it. Don't say anything. Don't
Exactly.
say it.
Don't.
And you and I talk, and there's so many great things. It's hard because social media, also there has to be that boundaries of what you're saying is trusting yourself. And that's also hard. One of the things that I do to, you and I have talked about this, like, that I love working with couples, and in my couples workshops, Hold Me Tight, we talk about that, of how is there a breakage in the relationship as a parent, so that way it's not bleeding into your parenting.
Yeah.
And if you're a single parent, or you have a partner or a spouse, knowing that you have to nurture that relationship in order to be good parents.
Yeah. Yeah, it's important. My husband is an awesome dad, actually. I'm going to brag about him a little bit. He's amazing partner, and he's the patient one out of the two of us. And he's like a total, like, all in parent, and it's wonderful, because it's important to support each other, because especially as we moved into the third kid realm and now we're outnumbered. I remember us joking before my son was born, like, you realize in just a few weeks we're going to be outnumbered. We need to stick together. And
Yes.
actually, one of my children sees a therapist, and just tonight she was saying to us that, hey, as a parent, you guys need to be a team and be together, because my kids have figured out he's the softie. And so, yeah, they're smart. They end run. Oh, no, I want dad. Well, yeah, because dad's going to let you get away with it. So again, we're trying to work on even now. I mean, we've been parents for 11 years, and it's
You're
still
still learning.
progress, especially as we're entering our tween teenager years. Like, it's ever evolving. And so, that's something that we're working on now, like being on the same, like, we have the same parenting philosophies, but
Yeah.
I'll be like, no, we're getting rid of electronics. No one's using it, like, for the next month. And he's kind of like, well,
Get off the ledge, honey. Get off the ledge.
if you're really good, maybe like 2 days. And I'm like, So we balance each other out really well, I feel. And, we're working on, presenting a united front and not allowing the kids to conquer and divide. So,
Yeah. And
and
that's
it's just knowing in your head that you're never 100% perfect parent. You're
right.
always,
And also, I think you bring up that point. You have to remember, and that's what I like about Macaroni Kit. The belief of like it's a constant evolution,
yeah,
and you have to remember yourself. You've never gone through this.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
you've never gone through, teenager, and at one point you'll have two.
I'm going to stop you right there because even if you have, you're still learning.
Yeah.
I
Well,
remember when my second child was born, my husband and I were like, "Oh, she was a great kid. She's awesome. Like we've got this. We're totally amazing parents." And then God laughed at us and said, "Oh, yeah, you think so?" And gave us a child with a little bit more, a little more work needed. So
right.
again, when you think, and then by the time my son came along, it was like, Psh, okay, we're just gonna see what happens here. So even if you think you've got it down pat, the universe will knock loudly and be like, hey, we've got another something to throw at you. So
Opportunity for growth.
exactly.
And one of the things too is knowing how different parenting is, from when we were little. Like
Oh God, yeah.
in the sense of like, my parents didn't have to worry about Facebook and not MySpace, good grief,
Well, yeah, so
Twitter and Snapchat and all that jazz. Like
you didn't have that whole internet aspect and the safety issues, but
back
you know,
in my day
yeah,
when I was
right.
on the earth.
Well, I'm a little bit older than you. And so, I mean, when I was my son's age, about 5, 6, etc., is when we started seeing kids disappearing, the milk
Oh,
carton era and things like that. So, even though we were what you'd call today free range kids, roaming around the neighborhoods, no contact with you, we didn't have cell phones, your parents never knew where you were before dark. So, then I started to see that be reined in a little bit more as I was exiting childhood, where things were a little bit, parents started to like, whoa, we can't just let our kids roam off. And that's sad in some respects.
of
It's,
course, yeah,
they're losing a piece of that freedom that I always remember as a
yeah.
kid. Out riding my bike. I mean, I lived in a small town, probably a little smaller than Plattsburgh in New Jersey and rural New Jersey. So I mean, in the few square miles of the town, I mean, I could be anywhere.
Hmm.
So I feel that's sad, and that kids have lost a little bit of that freedom. But my kids still are out and about and outside, and I just keep a little closer eye on them than maybe my mom would have.
Right. Well,
I
your
don't know.
little one, he could take out like he'd be gone in a flash.
Oh gosh, yeah, he's fast. He's fast. So
Yeah,
thank God
like
for
lightning.
fences.
And I'm just gonna go back too. Is and I dads go through this. I don't know if dads. I don't hear about dad guilt. I think I hear
Oh
more about.
yes.
I hear more anxiety and stress. I don't hear so much about guilt itself, and that's just my experience. I just hear like the worrying of like
Yeah.
they worry about constant everything, which I think blends into the guilt, but I think it's a little different. I think sometimes the men I've worked with deal with it a little differently. Not better or worse, just differently.
I think different's a better answer because I think it's still there. I know a lot of good dads and a lot of dads that are great parents, and my own husband included. And I think that women are just more vocal about it.
Yeah.
Um, but I see that sometimes, he'll worry about something when we have something with the kids, and he'll talk to me about stuff like, his worries, and we talk it out. But it's there. It's always definitely there. I just feel like as women, we're taught to vocalize our emotions better.
Hmm.
And why shouldn't men vocalize their emotions? And I mean, my husband's good about vocalizing that to me, but I don't think he'd ever vocalize that to another guy.
Right.
It's one of the sad things is that guys don't have that support network that women do.
Yeah.
My girlfriends will get together and we'll all be like, oh my God, our kids are driving us crazy. And we'll like chat about it. We'll laugh about it to kind of ease that stress. And I feel like men don't really do that enough, and they
Mhm.
should. They should.
Yeah, and I've had those conversations too of, and I know some people can take, complaining of that because it's stressful, but I think parents also have to give themselves that grace of it's okay if you hate this job. Like,
Yeah,
and I'm not calling parenting a job, it's just the best word I can use. So we're just
right.
gonna flow with it. Of knowing, God, I just don't want to be a parent today. I don't want to be adult. I don't want to be responsible. I just wish I could like run away, and knowing that that's pretty typical.
I've said that a lot, haven't I?
Well, it's just because and I think that that's what is going to the guilt and the anxiety and the stress is like, because it doesn't really end.
Right. It does.
Even when, oh, the kids are somewhere safe, you're like, are they behaving? Are they being okay? Are they, am I going to get that call?
There's always the fear when they're too quiet,
Yeah.
that something's happening.
And then let you, yeah, it's funny because growing up, we would be quiet. It's like, what are you doing? Nothing.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes, I know.
You're like, oh shit,
My
something's wrong.
son, from the moment he wakes up, is making constant train noises. So it's almost like if I don't hear that noise, I'm more concerned. Like, okay, what's going on here?
And I think that's, when we're talking about all these different issues, and if anyone else can relate, share your experiences too in the chat box. But being
Yeah.
able to know through all the hardships, that's what I like about what you're doing, Jenn, with Macaroni Kid is you live it every day. You're a busy mom, a wife, a professional, a woman, and you're putting the energy into create this network for people to promote their experiences, to have safe, healthy things for their families. And
Yes.
I think that's really incredible. And I think we're lucky to have you and to have Macaroni Kids in our community.
Yeah, it's a great, I mean, 11 years ago, it's same, I think around the same time my daughter was born is when Macaroni Kid was founded by parents in I think they're Long Island is where the owners were. And it was basically the same story I had. They were doing things with their kids and looking for ways to, put it all in one place. And they've grown it into this empire. And it's just, again, it's providing jobs for moms that they can, have the freedom to do around their lives, be involved in their community. Because the other thing is that Macaroni Kid's a community. So my Plattsburgh page is everybody in Plattsburgh. It's a community page. And that's
Right.
why, reaching out to me if you're hosting an event or you have a friend that's hosting an event and say, hey, this is going on, is what I'd like to see this evolve into, is that people take a little more ownership and say, hey, there's this great event. You should put it on your page so that other moms can see it.
Mm-hmm.
Because, the
And
best we
dads.
can share with others, it'll make it a much better page for everyone. And again, become that resource where moms just need to go to one place. You don't need a subscription, a paid subscription to it. You don't need to do anything. It just comes right to you into your email box.
And I know some people they don't check their email. What about social media? Or do you use social media or?
I need to be better about it. Macaroni Kid doesn't use they use Facebook and Instagram. I actually just revived the Instagram page a couple days ago. One of the things my tween is going to be helping me out with. I'm actually, bringing her into the family business. As we've talked about, my 11-year-old, future YouTube star. She's really, really tech savvy. And so that's one of the things that her and I have been talking about as well. Why don't you help mom out and do the Instagram for me. Facebook, I'd like to be using that more for promoting area events, etc., things like that. So it's a work in progress. I think it's only been about 2.5 years now that I've done it. And, it was a little scary getting into like, how do I do this? And I mean, we have a Facebook group for the publisher moms, and some of the ideas these women come up with, I'm like, wow, I am not that creative.
Well, that's not. I mean, I wanted to bring this in. You have something really cool going on right now, don't you?
Yes, and I am going to give credit where it's due. It's not an original idea, but it was created by a Macaroni Kid mom.
Okay.
So I've watched for the last 2 Halloweens just an explosion on Macaroni Kid. I just before I got into Macaroni Kid, I never realized how many events happen from the end of September to right through the Christmas season.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. Like if you, in non-COVID times, if you want to be busy every weekend, subscribe to Macaroni Kid because the calendar will be packed full for 3 months. And so, we share ideas and moms the publisher moms post things on our Facebook page. And they started talking about these boo bags, or some of them call them boo baskets or Halloween bags. And I was pretty curious about it and watched it for 2 years. And then this year, when the chatter started about 2 months ago, I said, this is a good year for this idea. So I came up with our boo bags that we're doing this year. It's basically Halloween in a bag, because
Okay.
the harsh reality this year is it's not a great idea to go trick-or-treating in full
Right.
blast like we used to. I mean, I live in a neighborhood where kids get dropped off by the busload, and it's a great fun atmosphere in our neighborhood every year, and it's going to be kind of sad this year. But you've got older people that cannot expose themselves, and by opening the door, you've got people that are concerned for their immune weaker children, or how do I say that? Immune suppressed children. So not everybody is going to do full-blown Halloween this year. In fact, you probably shouldn't. We're doing at my house a very subdued with 2 families, just doing something special with the kids. So these boo bags are basically Halloween coming to you. And I kind of was like, how do I get rid of these bags and do this in an organized fashion? So I actually teamed up through my job. I have some connections, and I've teamed up with the JCEO backpack program.
Ooh.
And which provides food for families in the community every week. And then also there's the Healthy Families program, I believe through BHSN, that was looking for some way to kind of do Halloween for their families. So the first 300 bags are all spoken for through those programs. And then I have some other.
So you put this together, right? Like you're
Yes.
putting these bags. Oh my gosh.
Yes, my children are doing that this weekend.
Your little army. I love it.
Yes.
It's for the
yes,
children.
Yes, exactly. It's for the children. So we're doing 600 bags, between
Oh
600
my
and
gosh.
700
That's
bags.
amazing.
Yeah.
Wait. I have a reaction. Yay!
Yeah, and then they're going to be going out through. I have some connections that I'm putting them out there through the community. And I also had about 20 people. I did a little contest where they could share one of my Facebook posts, and that I was looking for sponsors, because that's the other thing I want to talk about.
Sponsors, yeah.
The people in the community that have supported it. So, I mean, right out of the gate, this was my big fear. Like, how do you get people to, jump onto this idea? And I'm telling you, I've been so overwhelmed with gratitude by the people in the community. So we have Berkshire Farms. They are one of our top sponsors. They've come on board and have they're one of the top sponsors. We have a realtor, Kira Witherwax. We've got Shine On program from SUNY Plattsburgh.
Ooh, nice.
We support it because they work with young children, etc. We have, Greer Ciccarelli Photography. I've known them since, my wedding. And they take, family portraits, etc. They jumped on board. We've got Patrick Monette for the children.
For the children.
Yeah. What?
For the children of
Yes,
Earth. For the children of Earth.
E.T. Harris Plumbing and Heating.
Wow.
We've got a couple more too. I mean, we've got a nice mix of people that, were willing to support this and say, hey, this is something we'd like to help see in the community. So it's been fabulous and so fun. Like,
do you have time? Like, if people see this and they want to sponsor, is there time for Halloween, or will there be certain events in the future that they can sponsor?
There's two things. There's still 2 weeks to Halloween, and the bags are being assembled this week. And I believe my first delivery is going to be going out Wednesday with the first organization. So there still is time to jump on board, and you can reach me either through Facebook Messenger on the Macaroni Kid page, the jennm at Jenn with 2 N's, m at macaronikid.com. Reach out to me. Yeah, because what I do is every time I get a new sponsor, I add more to the bags.
Oh, nice. So, and just for people to remember, when Jenn's giving information, I'm not, I need to see things written. So I'll definitely, when we put it on Facebook and I put it on the YouTube channel, I'll put, if you want to send me all your contact
Oh, yeah.
information, that
Yeah.
way we can do it and we can share it. And I'm just more of a visual person. So,
Oh, yeah, that's great. And actually, if you go to the Macaroni Kid webpage too, that there's a contact me button. But also too, I mean, like I said, the other publisher moms just have some fantastic idea. People are already talking about Christmas, like some kind of snowflake surprise event. So I need to
I
get
can't deal with
past
that. I'm
school.
not ready emotionally.
Great.
I
So
see trees in the stores. I'm like, I can't. Like, let me just enjoy because I love Halloween. It's one of
I
my
do.
favorite holidays. So I'm like, let me just enjoy this. Give me 1 month at a time.
Yeah, exactly. So there's already all kinds of things that I'm going to be looking for in the future, because this has just been fun. It's been fun, like having people see what Macaroni Kid is about in a different way. And also events. I was just getting into this before COVID too. I've done your wellness fair one year. I'll probably be there again next whenever we can do that again.
Hmm. And
um
that was so much fun because you had people signing up, and
yeah.
it was really cool because your kid was one of your. I say kids, sorry, one of your kids was with you,
Oh
and
yeah.
that was really cool. And
Yeah.
it's such a beautiful connection. I
Yeah,
just love that.
she's tabled with me a couple times now. I did the autism walk. I would have done it this year if it had been in person. I did the autism walk one year, so I'm looking for events that are kid related to go out and tell people about Macaroni Kid. And it's basically about exposure, telling people about it. I usually have an activity at the table for kids so that I can talk to the parents. I usually do a giveaway if they sign up for the page that day. So that type of thing, just to expand our community, because the more people we get that subscribe, the higher, the more it projects our page out there to, in Facebook land and social media.
And the
And
more events you become aware of.
yes.
I was thinking, when before COVID, I feel like you always have to say that at this point, but
Pre-COVID, PC,
pre-COVID, right?
pre-COVID times.
Good grief. But I'm thinking, my friends and I would always talk about like the maple syrup season.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
it's like, who's having a breakfast this weekend? Like, I'm craving, I'm jonesing for the
yes,
pancakes.
yes. I always put those in the Macaroni Kid calendar, because
Yeah.
who doesn't love a pancake breakfast?
Yeah. And I think sometimes too, one of the things that I see is, and this is why I was asking for older, is because, we have Plattsburgh State. And a lot of times the students are looking for things. And even though
Yes.
they may not have kids, some of them
Oh
might.
yeah, it would be perfect for that, because a lot of the kids at the college, some people may not know this, but a lot of the kids at the college are looking for volunteer service hours.
Ooh, yeah.
So that's another thing, is that I know when I had a venture before, the education students are all background checked. So because they're applying for their
Yep.
teaching licenses, and they student teach in schools. So again, those are great people to volunteer for events. They need community service hours for organizations they're in, and or it could be something fun that they want to do, like a pancake breakfast.
Mhm.
Because those are
And
fun.
actually, it's funny. So we're gonna go. Jen and I talked about this the other day. I have yet to try this. A trick. I saw this recipe where it's was it called sheet pancakes?
Oh yeah.
So you make the
Sheet
batter,
cake
right?
pancakes. Yeah.
What?
Sheet cake
Sheet cake
pancakes.
pancake. And this is brilliant. So you just put them. You double the batter. You freeze half of it, and then you put the pancakes, instead of having to flip them, you put them in a cooking pan, and then you can do the separate ones, and then you bake it.
Right. Right. Or you could use a cookie cutter afterwards, a shaped cookie cutter.
I know what I'm having for breakfast tomorrow. So
And you
excited. Just
put
kidding.
your whipped cream and your sprinkles on it
It's
too. Mama said, Mama said.
yeah. And I'll just make little train noises to myself.
Yes.
That um so just kind of as we wind down, talking about so many different components, and
Yeah.
even though it's macaroni mom, like, are dads involved? Are there
Oh,
any?
absolutely.
Okay.
They do clarify, they call us publisher moms, but they do have publisher dads as well.
Representing.
And yes, exactly. And that's important too. I think that one of the other things I should mention too is that dads should subscribe too, because we all know the reality is there are lots of divorced parents out there. And I feel like even in my friends circle, like, the single moms are like, okay, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're doing this, that, like, they've got like whole weekends planned out for their kids. And I feel like it's important for dads to have that connection with their kids as well. And I've talked to a few dads at events, like Wellness Fair and other places where I've done signups, like, well, this could help you think of things to do for your kids on the weekends, or something you guys could do together. So
It makes it easier to be a parent.
yeah, sign up on a Friday morning. You get an email that tells you what's going on this weekend. You can always click on the events too as well and get my full calendar, not just the ones, like, basically I usually highlight. In happier times, I highlight up to 10 or 12. Right now it's usually around 5 or 7. But just it'll come in one email, and all you need to do is put your email in once to subscribe, and you will get every week that I publish. You will get an event calendar with some story ideas or suggested articles. And the great thing about it too, because it's mom friendly, work busy mom friendly, I can actually schedule my newsletters out. So
Oh, I
when I
love
went on
that.
vacation this summer for a week, COVID, the social distancing vacation, and I wasn't sure what kind of accessibility I'd have, I just scheduled it ahead of time and it went out
Mm,
automatically.
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's an amazing amazing company. Right now they're doing they do a meetup once a year, and they're doing a virtual one this weekend with all kinds of breakout workshops and stuff like
Ooh,
that. They sent like a big swag box to all the publisher
I
moms.
love swag. You
And
know me. You know I do. I do.
yeah, and they there was an embargo on when you could open it too, even. So yeah. So they did
That's
it as a
like,
big
I love
event.
it.
Yeah, so that's what I like. It's mom friendly. I mean, the main one, there's a main one for the publisher moms, but then they also have one for like publisher moms that work full time, publisher moms that, they really break it out. So, oh, and the other thing I was going to talk about is that they've actually had some big news
Oh
in
yeah.
August. They were actually acquired by Certificate.
Okay, what's certificate?
Well, so the original owners of Macaroni Kid have, again, they've been doing this 11 years. Their kids have kind of aged out, and they were looking to do some new ventures, and they had some interest from another couple um, that runs Certificate. It's kind of like it's a website with deals for, so we provide the
Like
events
Groupon,
Yeah,
but for
yeah,
kids?
similar, not
Sorry,
Groupon.
I know. Sorry, my mind.
Certificate, but
Don't get mad, Macaroni Kid. It was.
okay, it's okay. But it's kind of the best way to describe it. But it's family activity and event organization
Wow,
focus. Yeah.
certificate.
And so they weren't really active in this area, but what they're doing is, because they're partnering with Macaroni Kid, we're going to start seeing some activity in our area soon. They're rolling out some great stuff to kind of merge the two companies together. It's just an amazing marriage, because we promote the activities and the events, and they're promoting like deals and
Ooh, I love a good
special,
deal.
yeah, special discounted pricing, etc. So that's going to be something really, really fun to watch, as they super really energetic couple, Jamie and Brian, that there was a little bit of anxiety when all of a sudden they dropped an email in the middle of August that the company was changing hands. And you could see in the publisher mom Facebook page the the speculation and the rumors and everything, and they have just handled this with such grace and just came out and said, no, we don't want to change you, we love you.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and they were actually, their certificate company was actually part of Shark Tank.
Oh,
Yeah. So I
Wow.
haven't actually seen the episode yet. They did post it, I think, some in one of our pages, but so they were a Shark Tank idea, and just they've been super friendly. They post live videos on the Facebook page, and so it's been kind of funny because I'm getting to know them, and our kids are about the same age, and they're out of Maryland, right? And they're just a super energetic couple that came up with this great idea and actually loved what Macaroni Kid was doing. So when an opportunity came up, they kind of were really excited about it. So they've got a lot of things brewing. They were trying not to throw stuff on too much on us at once, but they have a lot of stuff brewing behind the scenes. It's going to be even more exciting. So
That's amazing. So
yeah.
can you, as we wind down tonight, can you just repeat how people can get a hold of you real quick?
Okay. So you can connect with me personally two ways. You can send me an email to jennm, that's Jen with two N's, M as in Meschinelli, at macaronikid.com. That's my email. And then you can also like the Facebook page, Macaroni Kid, Plattsburgh Macaroni Kid, and you can message me there. People reach out to me a lot there. Or you can go to the Macaroni Kid website, which is www.plattsburgh.macaronikid.com. And there's contact me there, etc. I think my phone number is on there too. So many different ways to kind of just put Plattsburgh Macaroni Kid and you'll find me somewhere.
Oh, awesome. And like I said, after the video is done, I'll definitely post that information so people can have it and hopefully get in touch with you. And thank you so much for coming on tonight at Friday Night Feels. And it was so much fun. Like you on Earth and me in the sky. I mean, you know how it is. Like,
Yeah.
and I just want to thank everyone for watching. And just a quick announcement on my end. I'm going to be you can check on my website and all my information for upcoming Hold Me Tight workshop for couples, which is really exciting. We're doing it online. The way I'm doing it is you don't need any camera or audio or anything, so it's kind of like you and your partner can have a privatized couples workshop just for you. It's 8 weeks. I'll put all the information on my social media coming out this weekend. The next series of that will be the end of November, starting after Thanksgiving. So hopefully some of you might be interested in that, and I'll definitely keep you posted. So once again, my dear friend Jen, thank you so much for coming on Friday Night Feels. I hope you come back sometime and let us know about the boo bags or whatever it is, and I'll definitely spread the word of anything else you're doing.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. It's kind of between the certificate and the boo bags. It's kind of like revitalized my interest in this. So it's been kind of a fun couple months lately.
Awesome.
So,
I
and
can't wait to
again,
hear.
subscribe to the website to get our newsletter and come join the Macaroni Kid family. And
Yeah. All right, now I'm hungry for pancakes, so I gotta go. I got some space dogs going on. I don't know what's happening. So everyone, I hope you have a safe weekend. Hopefully some fun with your family or just by yourself, whatever you need to do. And I will see you next time on Friday Night Feels.
thank you, Patrick.
Bye, Jen.
Bye.